G'day guys, Dyliedog here. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. So guys, in today's video, we'll firstly be discussing a possibility of a buff to Caustic in the next update. Secondly, we'll take a look at some upcoming updates to the Battle Pass. And lastly, we'll discuss Caustic's view on the US election. Alright, I'm kidding about that one. I'm sure no one came here for that sort of information. But we will discuss some information regarding a conversation over Twitter about Caustic being racist. So guys, before we get into all that, I'd like to remind you guys to quickly click the subscribe button with the notification bell turned on, as I post 2 to 3 videos a week covering leaks, rumors, and information about Apex Legends. But anyway guys, let's get into it. So guys, let's get into our first topic of discussion for today's video, which is the fact that recently over on Reddit, there has been some discussion about some changes to Caustic since the latest update, where he received a pretty significant nerf. So Daniel Klein, who is the senior game designer at Respawn and is also in charge of Legend Balance, recently replied to a post on Reddit regarding Caustic's latest nerf. So a person on Reddit was mentioning the fact that this is overall a nerf. Most Caustic mains understand that gas damage is not the most useful part of his kit. It's always the slow and the blinding that was important. And someone else replies with, and the nerf made his passive useless. Both him and Pathfinder need a new passive. So Daniel has responded with, the slow still exists, and your passive still protects you from slowing effects from an enemy Caustic gas. I agree it's not much of a passive anymore, but honestly I'd consider enemy highlighting in your gas to be your real passive. I do agree this is probably a nerf. The vision blur was a huge part of the power of this skill, but it was also reliably one of the most frustrating experiences in Apex. It made fighting back feel like not even an option, and even if you could fight back, the experience of having everything included your sights when you ADS blurred just felt really awful. I'm super down to hear ideas to put power back into Caustic. So now I do agree that Caustic probably doesn't really need a change to his passive, because like Daniel does say here, Caustic is so able to move through gas freely, which I think is actually a pretty good passive to begin with, considering Crypto's passive is basically allows him to detect enemies in his surveillance drone within a 30-meter radius, which in layman's terms mean his drone is able to spot people. So I think that it's fair enough the Caustic's passive is where it is at the moment. However, another person on Reddit replied with a Caustic buff, which I think could be really useful. So this person's idea for Caustic's buff is increasing the slow in his gas strongly discourages others from pushing it. At the moment, it's at 150 units. If this is further reduced to 100 and 120 units, it would make others second guess pushing in the gas. Also on a side note, I agree with nerfing the traps to be destroyed while inflating. It does offer healthy counterplay. However, can we get some health for the traps during their inflation stage? It's really painful to throw a trap to try to place one for cover, or either offensive or defensive purposes, only for a stray bullet that wasn't intended to shoot the trap ends up hitting it. A small pool of health like 20-25 would be great, because then enemies have to intentionally aim for your trap instead of being destroyed as an accidental collateral damage. So I actually think this would be a really good idea for a buff to Caustic. Now I know I am a bit biased on this issue, because obviously I'd love Caustic to be really OP, but let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this buff for Caustic. Alright guys, let's get into our second topic for today's video, which is the news regarding the widely controversial Battle Pass. So with this Season 7 update, we of course got a new Battle Pass, but this season we got a new way to level up the Battle Pass with this new star system. But it does seem that it is much harder to level up this season compared to Season 6, which led the devs to already make a slight change to the way you level up your Battle Pass. And recently, Chad Grenier, the senior game designer at Respawn, responded to a post on Twitter leading to more changes coming to the Battle Pass this season. So he says here that we are making changes, not sticking with the new Battle Pass system for now. We pushed out an update within 24 hours and said we have more updates to come. So this is good news, because I agree it's been really hard to level up the Battle Pass this season, and if I had to guess who made this decision to increase the difficulty of the Battle Pass, I'd have to say it would be EA. They are known for shady business deals and really bad microtransactions in their games, so to make it harder to level up your Battle Pass, so you may have to purchase some levels at the end of the season, really wouldn't be too far-fetched to think about. Alright guys, let's get into the last topic of discussion for today's video, which is the news that Caustic is a big old racist bastard. No, but seriously, there is some talk recently about one of Caustic's voice lines not being completely correct. So in a video of mine a while back, we did discuss that Respawn were being a bit too PC when it came to removing one of Caustic's voice lines when he called Crypto a gutter rat, which I think to my recollection was a name which referred to Korean soldiers back in the World War II era, which out of context of course sounds bad. And if you take anything out of context, it may not sound very good. But if you guys followed the quests that have been going on in Apex in Season 5, Caustic framed Crypto by making his drone hurt Watson, and Watson believed Crypto deliberately hacked his drone to hurt Watson to get information out of her for Revenant, which in turn would help track down Loba. Now, we'll just say that it's a very rough overview of what happened. But back to the voice line, which was removed back a few months ago. I think that with a character like Caustic, who's very unsociable and does not like human interaction, I don't think would have the best people skills. So even though this voice line was brushed off by the majority of people, there were a handful of people who decided to harass the devs and say that this voice line needed to be removed, which they did. But again, this has come up again with another voice line of Caustic's where he talks to Crypto. So on Twitter, someone tweeted to Tom Casiello, who is a writer at Respawn, about one of Caustic's voice lines, where she writes, "Hey Tom, could we just get some clarification here? Because if you're trying to make Caustic not seem racist was your intention, it definitely didn't work. And this feels just as bad, if not worse. We're taking out this Caustic voice line because we didn't realize it was racist, and that's not necessarily the picture that we want to paint. Sorry." Also, Respawn gives Caustic a voice line where he says, "That's right, hide behind your language, and yes, obfuscate your meaning, coward," when Crypto speaks Korean while reviving him. So I think she's pointing out the fact that this sounds like Caustic is saying speak English when Crypto speaks Korean to Caustic, which I guess on a surface level may seem a bit rude, but I don't think it's racist. And to Tom's credit, he has responded to this by saying Caustic is accusing Crypto of hiding behind his language, knowing he, Caustic, doesn't understand what he's saying. To me, in no way implies Caustic is racist. If you can explain to me how that comes across as Caucasian supremacy, I'm happily to confer with my supervisors. But this line is Caustic merely saying, if you have something you want to say it to me in a way I understand, so I can respond. It's not, this is America, speak English. It's, you want me to respond, I will, if you have the balls to tell me what you said. So thank God to Tom and Respawn, because they haven't backed down here and have stood to their guns. Because no, Caustic is not racist. I mean, trying to paint this picture that a character in a game is racist is just ridiculous. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to go off in a bit of a rant here, but if you are seriously looking at the world right now with everything that's going on in the US with police brutality and actual racism going on, I think that one voice line in a game that sounds a bit edgy and you think needs to be removed, I think you need to take a look at actual racism and try to fix the actual racism problem instead of focusing on a wishy-washy bullcrap little issue like this. And again, Caustic is an unsociable character. Of course, he isn't going to sound like the Queen, but I think it's actually a good thing that Apex has such diverse set of characters, and I think an unsociable crazy scientist is not going to have the best people skills. So I think he is going to say a couple of things that are a bit edgy and are probably not the right thing to say. So sorry for going off on that little rant there, guys, but that is all the information I have in this video. So the rest of this video will actually just be my second win with the new legend, Horizon. But one more thing, guys, before I go, I would just like to remind you to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and also subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on, as I post 2 to 3 videos a week covering leaks, rumors, and information about Apex Legends. But anyway, guys, Dyliedog, catch you all later. Yeah, they're in front of us. Let's go. They're still, oh my god, they're still fighting. Probably get a kill here. Yeah, they're right there, they're right there. Oh, you're kidding. How'd you fall? Dude. Alright, we'll try and win this quickly. Still 3 squads, there's still a couple alive. Oh, they just finished. Oh, it's gonna be the dirtiest third party. I get stupid building. Oh, nick that kill. Oh! God, yahoo! Wow, what a win. Yeah. Stretch out those fingers, crack the knuckles. Run your Horizon, what a win. Jesus Christ. GG, guys.
You are the Apex champions.